Tonight, the latest sentence for Trevor Birtch, the former Woodstock mayor guilty of multiple sexual assaults. Plus, political silence on Pride vandalism.
Elected officials are there to serve the community as a whole and not just pick and choose the parts of the community that they want to serve.
The demands for local leaders to denounce acts of hate. And growing the game.
This concept has worked in much smaller markets if it's run well.
The Canadian Baseball League's expansion plans.
CTV News with Carlyle Fiset.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We begin tonight at the London courthouse where former Woodstock Mayor Trevor Birtch made a virtual appearance to learn his latest sentence. He's already serving time for an unrelated sexual assault conviction. Rita Ismail has more on today's decision and what it means for the rest of his time behind bars.
Appearing by video from inside a prison, former Woodstock Mayor Trevor Birtch sat quietly as a judge sentenced him in another case involving a former intimate partner. The 51-year-old is already serving a 4-year, 8-month prison sentence after being convicted in a separate sexual assault trial. During today's hearing, the defense and Crown presented a joint submission asking for an 8-month sentence to be served concurrently with Birtch's existing prison term, followed by 18 months of probation. Justice Mark Garson accepted the joint recommendation, citing several mitigating factors, including Birtch's guilty plea, which spared the victim from having to testify and avoided further court proceedings. While delivering his decision, Justice Garson stressed the broader impact of intimate partner violence, saying offenses of this nature are not only harmful to the victim, but harmful to society. They shatter a woman's sense of privacy, safety, dignity, and autonomy. Our courts must continue to send a message of denunciation and deterrence of this conduct, a strong message to like-minded persons. Advocates who attended the hearing say those comments send an important message.
He is serving time in jail. We don't see that very often. And I think it speaks to his position of power that he held and kind of the downfall from that. In both cases, actually, both judges separately spoke about his fall from grace.
As part of the sentence, Birtch is prohibited from contacting the victim and remains subject to a 10-year weapons ban. Between the two sexual assault cases, Birtch was also convicted of impaired driving in February of last year. Birtch declined an opportunity to address the court before sentencing. Rita Ismail, CTV News.
Officials with Oxford County Pride are demanding provincial and federal leaders condemn the recent rash of vandalism and theft targeting Pride flags. They say they're disappointed in two local politicians who have been silent on the issue, calling on them to take a stand. With more, here's Brian Bicknell.
The president of Oxford County Pride says when Pride flags were vandalized and stolen in parts of Oxford, it was painful. But she says when elected representatives failed to speak out against what she calls hate-motivated crimes, it struck yet another blow.
Elected officials are there to serve the community as a whole and not just pick and choose the parts of the community that they want to serve.
Tara Russell Curtis has written to Oxford MPP Ernie Hardeman and Oxford MP Arpan Khanna. She expresses her profound disappointment in their silence following the burning of a Pride flag in Norwich and the cutting down of the flagpole at a public school in Norwich. She says they have a responsibility to condemn acts of hatred.
And when they're staying silent on the matter, they're also sending a message to the youth of the community that the ones who are committing these acts are more worthy of their voice.
Communities across southwestern Ontario have been hit by a rash of violence toward Pride symbols during Pride Month. In addition to Oxford, 4 schools in Perth County had flagpole damage, while a school in Glencoe in Middlesex County had its Pride flag stolen along with a Canada flag and the pole they were attached to. Several homes and businesses throughout the region have also been targeted.
It's supposed to tell people that they have a place in the community, that they have safe space at school, There's no hatred in the message of the flag, but yet it's met with so much hatred.
CTV News reached out to both Hardeman and Kana to discuss the concerns raised. Hardeman did not respond. Kana sent a statement which did not specifically address the concerns of Oxford Pride, but said in part, "Let me be clear. Any acts of vandalism, attempts of intimidation, and property damage are unacceptable." Brian Bicknell, CTV News.
Provincial police carried out a search near Point Clark today looking for someone in distress. They say they were called around 3 a.m. for a man in reported distress on Amberley Beach Road. According to police, there was concern for the man's safety, telling nearby residents to stay inside while they searched. Police have said there's no concern for public safety, but they also say residents should remain vigilant while providing no information on the nature of the man's supposed distress.
Good evening. We have some showers and thunderstorms to contend with through the late evening. Right now, just north of London, we've had a heavy storm that's moving in and around the Exeter area. That will continue to drive through. We still have more storms that are approaching the Bruce Peninsula, and as we head through the late evening, the risk of thunderstorms will continue. Temperatures have been on the cooler side of what's normal for this time of year. In London, our high 21 degrees. That's where we're sitting right now. North of the city, picking up those storms, so temperatures a bit cooler between 17 and 19. Conditions across our region unsettled. We'll have another area of low pressure coming through Wednesday night with the potential for some heavy rainfall. I'll put it all together and we'll look ahead to the weekend coming up in just a few minutes. Carlyle?
Thank you, Julie. To the murder trial in St. Thomas, where more evidence was presented today surrounding the turbulent relationship between a 22-year-old woman and the 53-year-old man accused of killing her. With more on today's proceedings, here's Nick Paparella.
And a half of the murder trial, the court has heard about the roller coaster relationship between 22-year-old Caitlin Jennings and 53-year-old David Yates. As the defense continues with its case, London Police Constable Jared Brown testified about an occurrence at 562 Kingsway Avenue in West London in March of 2023. The officer showed up after a 911 call. He saw the accused wearing nothing but a bathrobe and described injuries that he saw on Yates. There were large contusions on his face and arms, like bite marks. He continued and said he had dried blood on his nose and a small laceration on his back. Even though the Crown argued it's not known how he got the injuries, Constable Brown ended up charging Caitlin with 1 count of assault and 1 count of assault with a weapon. A few months later, London police would return to the same address on July 5th of that year and discover Caitlin's lifeless and beaten body on the living room floor. Yates would be charged with murder. At the beginning of the proceedings, Yates offered to plead guilty to the lesser charge of manslaughter. However, that was rejected by the Crown, and the second-degree murder trial got underway. Later in the day, in another twist, Toronto Police Detective Constable Jennifer Fox testified about a sexual assault case she was investigating months before the killing involving the couple. She said he came to Toronto on the premise that Caitlin had been sexually assaulted. Later, in a text message to the officer, the court saw that Yates wrote about their relationship, and it read, "I have no one else to talk to as I have been a victim of her lies, violence, and psychological warfare." More may come to light on Wednesday because the court has heard that Yates himself is expected to testify in his own defense. In St. Thomas, Nick Paparella, CTV News.
Union leaders representing London Catholic School Board education workers say they're concerned over proposed staffing cuts. In a statement, union leaders say school board officials want to eliminate 4 designated early childhood educator positions, 11 chaplain roles, and up to 3 cafeteria positions, as well as several library technician positions. In response, board officials said there are several inaccuracies in the union's claims. An early morning crash involving 2 transport trucks closed down the 402 for several hours. Emergency responders say they were called to the Nauvoo Road area around 6:30 this morning. The westbound lanes were closed from Kerwood Road to Nauvoo so the tractor trailers could be removed. Police say one of the drivers was taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Prime Minister Mark Carney had a chance to engage with President Donald Trump today at the G7 summit. Part of their conversation captured by a hot mic, shedding light on some of their priorities as world leaders get down to business. Mike Lucatour reports.
As G7 leaders prepared for their working lunch, Prime Minister Mark Carney took advantage of the moment to talk trade with U.S. President Donald Trump. In an apparent reference to the amount of Chinese electric vehicles Canada agreed to let into the country in January, Carney conveyed to Trump how little he believes it would affect the North American market. The agreement with China would allow for the annual import of 49,000 Chinese-manufactured EVs into Canada. In exchange, China lowered tariffs on a number of Canadian products, including canola. Also in Evian, Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc and lead trade negotiator Janice Charette met with their American counterparts.
We talked about a number of other issues that the United States raises with us, but we also talked about issues that are important to Canadian workers and the Canadian economy.
Now, after securing the deal with Iran, Trump's focus shifted to Ukraine. Following a meeting with President Volodymyr Zelensky on the margins of the G7 summit, Trump had this message for Vladimir Putin.
Russia should make a deal. Russia's lost tremendous amounts of people, and so has Ukraine.
Ukraine will win. It's just a question of time.
To help make that happen, Canada announced additional sanctions against 162 Russian individuals and entities targeting the Russian war machine. And President Zelensky feels a new sense of momentum towards a resolution.
It's great that everybody's understanding. Yeah. And it's great that Russia is not winning, and we have to push Putin to end this war.
G7 leaders will continue their meetings on Wednesday, but there are no plans for Trump and Carney to sit down together. But as we saw today, that doesn't mean they won't have important discussions, even if they're brief. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, near Evian, France.
Indigenous leaders are raising concerns with the federal government and at the pace of progress on lifting boil water advisories on First Nations across the country. Judy Trin reports.
An act respecting water.
The Liberal government tabled its new version of the First Nations Clean Water Act.
We can all agree that everyone should have access to clean, safe drinking water.
On reserves like Niskanjaga, people have had to boil water to make it safe to use since 1995. In Kasheshawan, families were evacuated after sewage leaked into the drinking water. Currently, 38 First Nations are under long-term advisories. The Liberals, under former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, set a deadline to fix the problem and missed it.
We will end all long-term drinking water advisories on reserves by 2021.
11 years ago, this Liberal government said they would get rid of clean water, boiled water advisories within 6 years. Now it's 2026.
But more than 150 long-term water advisories have been lifted since 2015. Still, the Liberals under Mark Carney have changed the language of the bill. The policy is to further the progressive realization that First Nations have a human right to safe drinking water, instead of declaring it an existing right. The previous bill was opposed by Alberta and Ontario.
I'm trying to create the safest space where everybody comes to the table, works together, and commits.
The Carney government's push to fast-track major projects like pipelines has set it on a collision course with some Indigenous groups. When it comes to protecting water, some feel the diluted language means less of a commitment to a basic necessity.
Water is a human right. Full stop. It's been a progressive realization for many of our nations for decades. And if we're going by that timeline, I'm absolutely concerned with that language in that bill.
This legislation also promises an additional $4.6 billion to ensure access to clean water. But the bill won't be looked at until the fall. The government chose to table the legislation 2 days before Parliament is set to rise. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
Federal regulators have announced a ban on unauthorized drones flying over World Cup venues and training sites, an effort to better control who has overhead access. As Heather Wright reports, there's already been an arrest related to drones flying over Toronto Stadium.
Drones lit up the night sky over Seattle on Monday, forming a scoreboard with the 1-1 draw between Belgium and Egypt. While this was a sanctioned spectacle, authorities in both the United States and Canada are cracking down on unauthorized drone use near FIFA sites. Toronto police say they have seized 6 drones since last Wednesday and are reminding the public about no-fly zones in place around World Cup-related events. In the United States, the FBI says they seized drones near SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles on Friday.
If there's an event nearby with like FIFA in town, that changes things. It's like it ups the stakes a lot.
Henry Shepard is an advanced drone pilot and owner of Films First. He says it's not surprising authorities are cracking down on drone use near a big event like the World Cup.
Let's say if it's windy, for example, and you've got a smaller drone and you're downtown. You may lose control of that easily enough, or you may fly behind a building and lose the signal for a second. So the wrong person without the experience flying it in these situations, a lot can go wrong, obviously.
While safety is one consideration, security is another, especially in the unlikely event of terrorism.
This isn't something that, has a very high probability of taking place, but that's the worst case scenario that the authorities are probably using as their baseline when it comes to security measures for drones.
Federal restrictions are also in place prohibiting any drones near training sites in addition to stadiums. Federal regulators say this is to manage crowded airspace and protect event security, but could also be a way to prevent spying. Teams have used drones to spy on their opponents in the past, including Canada's women's soccer team, which flew drones over to New Zealand practices ahead of their opening match at the 2024 Olympics in Paris.
Drone restrictions are in place even on days when matches are not being played, with Toronto police saying they have detection technology in place to track down any unauthorized drones. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
And a programming note, because of live World Cup coverage tomorrow on CTV London, our 6 p.m. newscast will be preempted. However, it will be available to watch on our website, ctvnewslondon.ca, as well as the CTV News app.
Hyrox is 8 kilometers of running and 8 functional stations in between.
When we come back, a local athlete preparing for a grueling competition. We'll introduce you to the sport of Hyrox coming up next in the Tee Up. Welcome back. It's the Tee Up with Brent Lael. And Brent, we're doing this a day early because, as mentioned earlier, tomorrow's newscast preempted for World Cup coverage.
Yeah, so we're going to start with the Ontario Hockey League draft. The first in-person draft in over 25 years was held over the weekend.
There is Drew Bate, the newest member of the Saginaw Spirit, chosen 6th overall in this OHL priority selection.
The London Junior Knights center from just south of St. Thomas had an impressive 72 points in 27 games last year. He was Alliance Player of the Year and led his team to consecutive championships. The Parkside Collegiate student also had 13 points in 6 games at the OHL Cup. Now he's off to live in the U.S., where he'll play for the Spirit.
It's going to be a big change, but I'm ready. I've been looking forward to this my whole life, so I've kind of been preparing for many years, and I'm just ready to start playing hockey. The GM and the coach, they just seem like really nice guys, and they really just encouraged me and encouraged the city of Saginaw and showed me how it is a nice place there, and I think it'll be a good fit for me.
Proud to announce from the London Junior Knights, Ryan Beaulieu.
Yeah, we were excited that he was there, and it's just an added benefit that he's right from London. We can start working with him right away, and he can develop with our trainers and work with our skill development coaches as often as he would like. So that's a positive.
Beaulieu, whose dad was a member of the Knights Memorial Cup team in 2005, is one of 16 new players being welcomed to the organization. He'll be on one of 2 teams worth of skaters at the Knights annual mini camp this coming weekend at Western Fair.
We want to bring them in and get get them on ice, get them tested, and see where their physical testing is, and start the development path right away. We'll meet with each individual player that's at our camp, after our last game on Sunday, and kind of give them some notes, introduce them to Jamie Baker, our development coach that'll be watching them all this year and speaking to them a lot, as well as us, and get the process started as soon as possible, especially with the draft being later this year. We want to get them immersed in our culture and what our expectations are right away.
A drag racing champion was in London this past weekend, taking part in a special event.
Yeah, we've been following the career of Jory Elliott for a few years now, but I hadn't seen him in a little while. Prior to this weekend, he brought his Northern Force racing dragster to the Soho Soper. Elliott was showing off the power of his car to fans and also displaying his two most recent trophies. He won a pair of NHRA Wally trophies at the season opening event at the Toronto Motorsports Park last month. These days, he's been bringing his race car to schools to educate kids with his STEM at Speed program, and he's also running on the Canadian circuit.
We're actually headed to Quebec next week to run a race in the John Scotty Championship Series, NHRA Canadian Championship Series. We're the points leaders. We won the first race of the season at Toronto Motorsports Park, and we're running in a class called Super Comp. It's our first year running in this class, so we're really excited and pretty proud of ourselves for having success this early on.
And finally, Brenda, fitness sport rising in popularity has its World Championship this week, and there's a local woman competing in Sweden.
If you've never seen Hyrox before, it is hardcore, Carlyle. Only 0.5% of Hyrox athletes around the world can qualify for this event, and Belmont's Lindsay Besagato is one of them. She'll be representing Canada in one of the most physically demanding sports. Lindsay Besagato with one final push before heading to Sweden for the Hyrox World Championships.
Hyrox is 8 kilometers of running and 8 functional stations in between.
It's a relatively new sport, launching in 2017.
I'm ranked one of the top females. Now, because Canada is so slow to getting to this sport, I still have a long ways to go. Those Europeans and the Americans are just insane. Like, they're hitting 1 hour times.
Representing Team Canada, the 25-year-old is hoping for a personal record of 1 hour, 3 minutes. A former hockey player and CrossFit competitor, the Belmont, Ontario native only started the sport 2 years ago.
99% of my running and training is solo, so it takes definitely a mental capacity to be able to do that alone and have the strength to do it alone and push yourself when you're by yourself. 2 sessions a day, lots of running. I'm running like 60 to 70 kilometers a week, which still means I need to get in my strength training.
On top of the 8 kilometers of running, the sport requires rowing, sled push and pull, burpee jumps, a farmer's carry, lunges, and finishes with 100 wall balls. This week, she will compete in solo pro, mixed doubles, and will be part of Canada's relay team. She's excelling in the strength portion of the competition, but admits she needs to improve her running.
Coming from a CrossFit background, I'm not, a lot of the runners are finding this sport, but I'm really excited for my race with Ryan this weekend because we're in the 16 to 24 age group, and I definitely think we can podium.
Brent Lale, CTV News.
I don't know about you, Julie, but I feel like I'm about to break into a sweat just from watching that video and the story.
So inspired. She's so strong, and wow, that's incredible. Her fitness is just off the charts.
Absolutely.
Unreal. Good luck to her.
Yeah, as we shift to weather here, Julie, sounds like a chance for some active weather tonight.
Yes, we've had some big showers in the area. Thunderstorms have been moving through, and we've had a few rounds popping up out there. Continuing tonight, we're not under any watches or warnings right now, but the thunderstorms north of the city, there's been some intense lightning and numerous strikes of lightning in through southern Huron County and northern Middlesex. Our high today, 21 degrees, so a few degrees shy of where we typically are this time of year, but it was Nice and fresh this morning, and we did start the day with a bit of sunshine before some light showers moved in. Now they have been scattered in nature, so not everyone seeing the rainfall, and that'll be our weather story heading into tonight. The winds at the London airport on the hour out of the south. So we have some good storms that have moved through Michigan and continue to develop this evening. We have some rain and thunderstorms on the way to the Bruce Peninsula, and it looks like a thunderstorm developing in London anytime after 8:30 to 9 p.m. So keeping a close eye on that. But the thing with these storms, as I mentioned, is they are tricky to pinpoint where they will develop. So we have lots of instability and the potential for storms as we head through the late evening. Looking across Canada tonight, active weather in through parts of southern Alberta. A tornado warning briefly issued this afternoon, and severe thunderstorm watch in effect in through Alberta, southern Saskatchewan, and into Manitoba. A bit cooler as we head toward Thunder Bay, and as we head out east tonight, temperatures on the cool side, single digits in St. John's, Newfoundland. Overnight, 13 to 14 degrees across most of the region. It will be a bit milder along the shorelines of Huron and Erie tonight. So heading into tonight, so this is 9 o'clock, and you can see a storm is expected to develop over London. Again, the forecast model is difficult when these storms start to bubble up. You can see another one coming into Essex County, and then as we head into the overnight, possibility of some showers and thunderstorms moving over London midnight to about 1 a.m. and then a lull. So then we see things calm down a bit. We'll see some breaks in the cloud cover as we head toward sunrise. So a mix of sun and cloud to start the day, but then the clouds will quickly fill in as we head into the afternoon. So mainly cloudy, and then a big system comes in. This one has the potential for some heavy rainfall. This is for Wednesday night into Thursday morning. It will follow with some gusty winds on Thursday. So this is the Wednesday night system. You can see the rain starting to approach, but not really making the move until later in the evening. And then the heavier rain comes into London. So this is as we head through the overnight, early Thursday morning. That's when we will see the greatest risk window for some localized flooding in some low-lying areas and some good moisture associated with this wave of low pressure that comes through. In behind it, there'll still be the chance for a few showers around Thursday morning, but we should break back into a mix of sun and cloud. Early in the week, I was talking about unsettled conditions, the chance for showers and thunderstorms. That trend continues. So we should get through your Wednesday dry. The forecast high again on the cooler side at 22 degrees. Rain Wednesday night, rain Thursday morning, but then as we head into Thursday afternoon, we'll start to see this system break up just a bit. Friday, 23 degrees with a 40% chance of showers. It's going to be a cooler weekend in southern Ontario. A mix of sun and cloud both Saturday and Sunday, and then Sunday night we could see a little bit of light rainfall. But again, normally this time of year we're at about 23 to 24. Forecast highs will be hovering into the low 20s. Midwestern Ontario, storms for you tonight. They'll continue, and then overnight they'll wind down after about 1 to 2 a.m. And then we have rain in the forecast Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Temperatures, as I mentioned, a bit cooler than we're used to. A mix of sun and cloud as we head into the weekend, but still nice and comfortable. We've been seeing some major swings, Carlyle, if we are thinking about how things have been shaping up over the past 4 to 5 weeks. We've been looking at these major heat and then a cool down, and that trend's continuing. So we're on the cooler side of things as we head into the weekend, but some sunshine both Saturday and Sunday.
All right, Julie, thanks very much. Still ahead, a family business entering the next generation, the local lumber company and their plans for expansion. And later on in the newscast, it's Behind the Lights with Lauren Stallone. Lauren, what are we talking about this week?
Well, we've all moved to a new city and been trying to meet people. So our guest today is going to tell us how she started her own group to help people that want to do just that.
All right, stay with us.
I angered our entire text line today with one single opinion.
Myself included. TJ, you don't like s'mores? You don't like marshmallows?
Not crazy about s'mores as a summer treat at all.
An essential summer treat. You're in timeout starting tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock. Join us.
A new survey suggests many single Canadians are disproportionately impacted by higher food prices. The Interact survey found single Canadians spend roughly $100 a week on groceries, while couples living together said they spend about $80 per person per week. The report suggests single-person households can't save as much through buying in bulk and struggle to find single-portion meals. About a third of respondents said their food often goes bad before they can eat it all. Bank of Canada research shows grocery prices have risen more than 20% since 2022. A local family are working on a substantial expansion for their lumber business as the company passes on to a third generation. With more on their plans for the future, here's Scott Miller.
Bernie McGlynn Lumber near Mildmay has been turning logs into 2x4s since 1964. After being started by his parents, Bernie McGlynn and his wife Doreen are now preparing to pass the business on to their 3 children.
The excitement's pretty big between my sister and brother and I, as we've been a part of it our whole lives.
To keep the sawmill and flooring company moving forward, the McGlynns are embarking on a nearly $5.5 million expansion to double their production space, increase output by nearly 50%, and dramatically modernize equipment.
We're putting up a new 30,000-foot building on the other side of the road here, and so then down the road, hopefully by Christmas, after we get the mill installed and stuff, then we would be putting in the thermal kiln after that, and hopefully be up and running sometime early next year.
The thermal kiln will be the first of its kind machine in Ontario, allowing McGlynn's to make outdoor decking completely from Ontario-grown trees to compete with largely overseas-made composite decking. To help get the McGlynn's project started, the province's terra-fighting forestry sector investment and an innovation program is kicking in $1.6 million.
There's a lot of uncertainty. Markets and investors don't like the uncertainty, so part of our roadmap is making sure that we're instilling that confidence back into the forestry sector here in Ontario to attract those investments and grow the industry, protect the jobs that rural Northern Ontario communities depend on.
McGlynn's expansion will add about 5 jobs, but will retain another 13, modernizing and stabilizing a South Bruce employer when the community needs it.
A year or two ago, we were involved in the DGR process, and when that kind of fell through, we said we were going to look at other alternatives to replace that, and here we are.
The McGlynn's, current and future owners, are excited about what the future holds.
We need to get more out of the products and have something that somebody else hasn't got at the present time in a big volume and grow it from there.
It's going to put us ahead of a lot of other competition and give us new markets and continue to grow.
Near Mildmay, Scott Miller, CTV News.
Officials with the Canadian Real Estate Association say home sales were down across the country last month. The latest numbers show home sales for May were down about 5% compared to the same time last year. However, activity was up 5.5% on a seasonally adjusted basis compared to April. Real estate officials say the national home price also rose 1.5% on a year-over-year basis, about $700,000, which is the highest it's been in 2 years. Canada's main stock index drove further into record territory today. The TSX gained 114 points. In New York, the Dow added 329. The Nasdaq lost 308. The Canadian dollar was down 0.07 of a cent. On commodity markets, gold gained almost $3 an ounce, and oil fell more than $4 a barrel. Still ahead, a warning from Ottawa's police chief to his own officers. The ultimatum: change behavior or quit the force. Welcome back. Toronto police are reporting an increase in young people recruited by a growing criminal network, paying them to carry out targeted attacks. And as Janice Golding reports, those incidents are starting to spread beyond the GTA.
Gunfire at the U.S. consulate, bullets aimed at homes, businesses and religious institutions, all perpetrated, say Toronto police, by criminals for hire.
Through encrypted messaging apps, young people are hired to carry out attacks against various targets.
Gunmen from multiple cells and networks allegedly swapping weapons, including 2 police seized last week.
We have 21 different shooting incidents with the .45 caliber, 6 with the 9mm.
Police say the guns for hire videotaping the attacks they carry out, as evidenced in shootings at Jewish schools and synagogues.
To ensure that they're getting paid for what they've been sent out to do.
While police say they don't know who's paying the hired guns, the goal is clear:
to create a sense of fear in our communities, including in the Jewish community.
GTA law enforcement now working with the RCMP, the FBI, and international entities to pinpoint the bad actors.
Whether it be synagogues or consulates or churches or anywhere else, that obviously has a motive. And then to follow that up the chain, I mean, the possibility that there could be a foreign actor in this is deeply alarming.
The Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs saying extremists at home and abroad are fueling hatred and violence, adding the perpetrators of these shootings and those directing these attacks on Canadian soil must be held accountable. This is a matter of safeguarding Canada's national security and our Canadian way of life. Safeguarding security, a dangerous task. ETF Constable Mark Pinizotto killed last week executing a search warrant.
The emergency task force are the highest trained police officers, quite frankly, in this country that go into the most dangerous of circumstances. And clearly, this was an incredibly dangerous set of events that unfolded.
19-year-old Nicholas Bennett now charged with 15 offenses, including first-degree murder. Two 18-year-olds, Sheldon Tracy Stewart and Jayon Berger, facing various firearms offenses, while officers continue to hunt for 19-year-old Zara Jabi in relation to the consulate shooting. The investigations are ongoing. Janice Golding, CTV News.
Ottawa's police chief is calling out his own officers, publishing an internal video outlining his concerns with the conduct of some members. As Josh Morano reports, the message was delivered while multiple sexual misconduct investigations are underway within the police force.
I want to have a serious and an uncomfortable conversation with all of you.
The message from Ottawa's police chief, Eric Stubbs, is clear.
Change your behavior now or quit. Leave.
In an internal video obtained by CTV News Ottawa, Stubbs acknowledges and calls out sexual misconduct within the Ottawa Police Service, which he says has been ignored for too long and needs to be confronted head on.
This is not about an isolated incident. It's about a pattern of behavior that we've seen in the last few years, and it has to shift quickly in the other direction.
The chief outlining several examples, including officers allegedly using police databases to obtain information about women they encounter in public.
Externally, members are using our databases as their own way to meet women. Seeing a woman at a coffee shop, coming out of a gym, driving next to them, getting their license plates and running them on the system. We've seen members messaging vulnerable victims on calls that they've attended in an attempt to develop an intimate relationship.
The comments follow several recent incidents involving Ottawa police members, including an officer charged in an intimate partner violence investigation and another demoted for improperly accessing police databases.
This is a coordinated, systematic targeting of women. It's really predatory, and it is extremely dangerous. We are not safe.
Advocates say more action is needed to address the issue.
It's good that they're acknowledging it, but they need to go a step further. Survivors, women, are currently not safe in this system.
The chief says members must decide whether they'll be allies who speak up or a part of the problem by remaining silent when misconduct occurs.
We believe there is a clear need for OPS leadership to acknowledge that this issue remains present and to speak openly about it. Silence or minimization only allows the behavior to continue. End of quote.
Josh Morano, CTV News.
New data from the Ontario Medical Association shows overcrowding emergency departments has reached critical or severe levels. Physicians surveyed said overcrowding is impacting the availability of ER beds and treatment spaces. 3/4 of respondents said they begin shifts with beds or treatment spaces already occupied by patients waiting for hospital admission. A separate survey found only 30% of Ontarians said they were confident they would receive emergency treatment in a reasonable time. Researchers in California have provided a patient living with ALS the opportunity to speak again thanks to a brain-computer interface.
It is very sweet to have the ability to look at my wife's eyes when she hears my voice and conjures up a sweet memory. And to explain to my daughter, who does not really remember anything about when I was still talking to them, and remind them of what I used to sound like.
The 45-year-old had electrodes implanted in his brain, translating his brain signals into speech using a synthesized version of his own voice.
Our photograph of the day comes to us from Norfolk. Thank you so much, Paul, for sending this one in, taken at Whistling Gardens. Potential for some heavy rainfall Wednesday night and some thunderstorms rolling through. Temperatures over the next 7 will average on the cooler side of what's normal for this time of year.
To City Hall, where moments ago, councillors backed a plan aiming to revitalize and diversify downtown London over the next decade. With the latest on that project, here's Daryl Newcomb.
Let's talk about what the challenges are and what the opportunities are.
The Canadian Urban Institute officially presenting their plan to revitalize downtown London, called Downtown Reimagined. The 10-year downtown master plan recommends 58 actions that would cost about $48 million.
All the things that we list here are all the things that exist uniquely in a downtown.
The London Development Institute, that represents many of the city's largest developers, urged the report's implementation.
Take leadership on making things happen, spend money on downtown, and make it the great heartbeat of this London.
However, the Old East Village BIA called for an approach that would include other core area business districts beyond just downtown London.
How do we strengthen our urban core? And how do we build a city that is greater than one neighborhood?
I'm more than happy anytime people want to have that conversation. But I'm here today, we're all here today to talk about the downtown plan.
We will not grow the downtown or develop it into its potential unless we come to terms with public defecation, public urination, the homelessness, the illegal drug use, the violence.
Ultimately, the committee recommended endorsing the new downtown plan, but emphasized it will evolve and successes in the downtown can be applied in neighboring business districts.
I know we had a lot of engagement moving forward, but this is not the final decision. This is just an endorsement for the framework and the themes that we are supporting.
Council will make a final decision June 23rd. Daryl Newcomb, CTV News.
The London Majors could soon be playing baseball on Canada's East Coast. League officials are soliciting interest in a possible expansion team in Halifax. With more on the CBL's potential growth, here's Paul Hollingsworth.
The Canadian Baseball League, with all 9 teams currently playing in Ontario, is looking to add a new team in Halifax by 2028.
It's a great sports market.
A market that doesn't have professional baseball. CBL Commissioner Ted Callanans hopes to recruit a local ownership group to pay the $1 million expansion fee, plus the cost to renovate and upgrade a ballpark to league standards.
This concept has worked in much smaller markets if it's run well. Welland has a population of 50,000 people and they're getting 3,000 out a game. So if it can succeed in that context, then it would succeed in Halifax.
Baseball has deep roots in this area. There was a time when Nova Scotia had minor pro baseball teams. The Halifax and District Baseball League had teams throughout Nova Scotia in the mid-20th century. Amateur baseball executive Holly Lapierre says CBL expansion buzz comes at a time when the sport is surging in popularity.
Baseball is Blue Jay popular right now in this province.
After the recent success of the Blue Jays, youth registration numbers for players in Nova Scotia sits around 9,000.
I think there's always a place for those leagues.
Baseball Nova Scotia Executive Director Brandon Gannett says adding a professional team could spark further growth at the grassroots level.
It gives kids the opportunity to actually go out and see it in person. I think that always gives a bump to any sport when they're able to go out and witness it and see it in front of their own eyes. Some players playing at a very high level.
Lapierre thinks the CBL in Halifax could be a success if the idea is not rushed.
I would love to see them trial it maybe for a couple of summers, but the thing is, where are they going to play?
Callanans says expanding a venue like this one would be required.
We want it to be a minimum of 2,500 seats.
For professional baseball to succeed in Nova Scotia. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Halifax.
And still to come on the other side of the break, it's Behind the Lights. We've got a full desk here, Lauren, because we were joined here by a special guest.
Yes, Carly, she's going to be talking to us about her social fitness club that she's created.
That's on the other side of the break. Stay with us. And before we go tonight, it's Behind the Likes with Lauren Stallone, Julie Atchison on the desk with us as well as a special guest here, Carly, who's joined us, Lauren.
Yeah, so Carly, you started a social fitness club to get together young people to connect and meet each other in a city that they might not know anybody else. So can you tell us a little bit about what made you come up with this idea and why you started the club?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. So I'm Carly. I own Fitness Collective Social Club. I met my co-founder Leah at Western University, just in an entrepreneurship program, and we found there was a lack of diverse fitness activities in London that were inclusive to every Gen Z, not just Western and Fanshawe students. So we decided to create this huge community for it based solely on social media promoting. So we host bi-weekly events all across London, and we have a run club every Saturday as well. And it's been going amazing so far.
It looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so much fun. The community is just amazing.
How can people sign up of their ages? You said Gen Z, so do you have a start, an end age, and where can people find out all about it?
Yeah, so it's just around Gen Z, so we center around just Gen Z customers right now. But to find out more about it, we just have an Instagram called FC Social Club that people just find out about our events on there. It's super straightforward.
Now this is a business. How much money are you making? Is it popping off just yet?
But we have over 400 members right now, which is awesome. We usually charge around $10 for every event, and we've had events up to 200 people come out. So it's popping off pretty good so far, I'd say.
Well, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And it sounds like this is something you're studying business. This is something you want to grow and be a business owner?
100%. Yeah, I'm also an artist, so entrepreneurship has kind of always been my passion, and having this club and building a community around a business too is just my end goal for sure.
Okay, sorry, I have another question. Traditional sports, all sports, like golf, frisbee, what kind of sports do you
good question. I would say more traditional. Tomorrow we have a soccer event. We've done pickleball in the past, and then we also have a social always afterwards. So we'll go downtown to Delilah's or Barney's or somewhere around there. So much fun.
I might have to crash this. I'm a Gen Z, so
you totally
I think I can get in.
Yes, you definitely should. It would be so much fun.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun, and it's so interesting that you use the social media to connect the community.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so helpful to have that for sure.
All right, well, Carly, thanks so much for coming in. Congratulations and best of luck in the future.
Thank you so much.
That's it for us at CTV News London. We'll see you again tomorrow. Take care.